Hey guys, Squatch Reloading here. Today we're going to talk about the Frankford Arsenal Intellidropper. Now some of you know I did a video on this 5-6 months ago, and was it a hit or was it a miss? So I'm going to go over what I like, what I don't like, and answer the ultimate question. Would I buy it again or will I throw it in the trash? So stick around and I'll give you my feedback. Okay guys, so the first thing I want to talk about, and this goes for electronic powder dispensers in general. You really need to understand what they're very good at and what they're not very good at. So some of the things that they're very good at is getting a very consistent charge weight repeatably. The scale on this Frankford Arsenal is very accurate. It dispenses powder relatively quickly, and it's very consistent. So what it's good at is doing just that. So what I use it for is if I'm doing any precision rifle rounds, whether it be 308 or 223, where I'm trying to dial something in for a target load, or what I mainly use it for is when I'm doing ladder testing or I'm developing new loads, whether it's pistol or rifle. It's great for that because you can change the charge weight on the fly. You can do 5 at a time, push a couple buttons, and boom, you're right there where you need to be. So what it doesn't do well is it's not fast. So if you're looking at something like this, whether it's the Frankford Arsenal, the RCBS, or whatever in an electronic powder dispenser format, you're not going to do bulk. I mean, you could if you had nothing but time on your hands, but it is very tedious. Regardless if it takes 10, 15 seconds to drop a powder charge, it takes up a lot of time. So if you're doing any kind of bulk reloading, whether it's on a single stage or a turret, there's a lot better options out there. And, the other thing, even if you're doing precision rifle, a Uniflow powder measure is going to be very accurate, or there's many other brands out there that are very accurate, and you can get a bulk charge really quick. Use your beam scale and just hand trickle that up, or an electronic scale. So there's other ways around it, but it's a nice piece of technology for the reloading room. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do some quick analysis of how accurate it is, what I think of the app and where that has its place, and we're just going to kind of go off the cuff and just kind of work through it, and then I'm going to answer the question: buy it again or throw it in the trash? Alright guys, so one thing I want to mention right out of the gate is let this unit warm up. I typically let it run or sit here powered up for about a half hour or so. It's very sensitive. If my air conditioner kicks on, I'm going to see fluctuation or a little bit of drift from zero. It's never more than 1/10 or 2/10. This, in my opinion, is just a dust cover to keep everything clean. And you can see as I'm fanning around here with my hand, we'll see a little bit of drift from zero. But that's pretty much how it always acts. I haven't had any problems with it, drifting more than 1 or 2/10. But one thing to keep in mind when you're running this in auto mode, it has to see a zero before it'll take off again. And I've had some issues where the air conditioner has been running down here, or the kids have had a fan on and there's some air movement, and it's actually not started when I've had it in automatic mode. So what I thought we could do is let's test this scale against my Dillon Determinator with the weights that are provided with it, and we'll just see how accurate it is. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the plate. We will go ahead and zero it, wait for it stable. We'll switch the units to grams, and I'm going to put the 50 weight on, and we should see 50. Okay, so 50 right on the money. Now let's go check it on our Dillon Determinator. Okay, let's put our 50 gram weight on our Dillon Determinator. Okay, so 50, that's right on the money. Now let's check it. We have a Dillon 100 gram weight here. Okay, it's reading 100 grams. Now let's put this 100 gram weight on our Frankford Arsenal. Okay, moving our 100 gram weight. Okay, so it's 100.02, so 0.02 difference. We'll set it on here again, make sure we're stable, and it's 0. Okay, so it's repeating. So there's 0.02 grams difference between our Dillon and our Frankford Arsenal when we get up, to 100 grams. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is, let's just compare a charge weight. So I've got a charge weight here of Unique, and we're at 7.1 grains. So now what we'll do is we'll take this same charge weight and then compare it to our Dillon. All right, so we'll take our charge weight and put it on our determinator, and we're at 7.1 grains, so we're right on the money. So now I'm going to bump the charge weight up a little bit and see if that 0.01 or 0.02 on the 100 gram weight really makes a difference. Okay, so I've increased the charge weight on our Dillon determinator. This is, probably getting in the upwards of a 223 or 308, somewhere in there. But let's take this charge and check it on our Frankford Arsenal, and we're going to be looking for 27.8. Okay, so I'm going to take the charge off the Dillon and dump it into the Frankford Arsenal. We've got everything out of there. So 27.8. So those two scales, I consider this Dillon pretty darn accurate, and this Frankford Arsenal is repeating everything that's coming off the Dillon. So one of the great features about this electronic powder dispenser is this keypad. The backlighting is spot on. I hope that the video does it justice, but the buttons are very crisp and they're very responsive. When you're pushing the buttons, it has a good feedback to it. The beeps. Things that I don't like about this display is this power button. Actually, when I purchased this power button was in the box laying there. These feel pretty cheap. However, the display doesn't feel cheap, and it actually feels of something better quality than it is for the money. But again, these two buttons, pretty generic. The other thing I don't like is this powder tray. It is basically stamped tinfoil. They could have done a lot better job with this, but for the money that you're spending, I can live with this. Okay, another con in my opinion, I'm going to move this tray, is where you evacuate the powder from the dispenser. It is just in a bad spot. You have to move it to the edge of a table, and this knob here, and there was some powder left in there, it is what it is. I think this could have been a lot better. It's very difficult to turn. There's no indicator that you have it in the right position. So there's been times I filled it with powder and didn't have it set back. But this could have been done a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is for the money. This brush to clean out the powder from the hopper, you can't reach the bottom unless you have, I'm going to pan up here so you can see, you cannot get this brush all the way down in there. So this could have been another 6 inches longer to help most guys out, but you can remove the hopper itself, and it's a pretty snug fit to get down inside. And I'll shoot you over here where you can see. To get in here and clean this out, it works, but this is pretty cheap. Okay, so when we're talking about cleaning out the inside of this dispenser, there's a lot of hard edges in here, and inadvertently there's powder that gets caught up in these cracks, and you really got to be very diligent about getting everything pushed down inside. Now, what I've been doing is just leaving the hopper on and shooting it with a blast of air to get everything pushed down. And if you can see, this is where your powder funnel starts. that comes out the port at the bottom. But getting this clean is somewhat difficult. But again, you know, you look at what you pay for this unit compared to the more expensive RCBS, and yeah, it's something that you may be able to live with for the money. Okay, so my favorite feature about this powder dispenser is the auto powder calibration feature. Now, with most of your other dispensers, you've got to manually crank them up or crank them down when they trickle, and that can be pretty time consuming. With this unit, it has its own a logarithm that it uses, that it calculates how fast to put the powder down the most efficiently without going over or under. So the first thing I'm going to do, and when you guys run this, run a charge before you do the powder calibration. The reason being is that way you get powder all the way into the tube. So I'm just going to put in a charge of, let's say, 20. Make sure we're zeroed. And get used to that, guys. Sometimes this comes off zero a little bit. You just have to work through it. So we've got a charge weight of 20. Now let's see how long it takes. So it takes a while, and this is where you would be dialing in those other dispensers. Okay, so we have a charge weight of 20. Now let's set it through its powder calibration feature. So we'll hit powder cal, and now it's doing its thing. So once it works through this process, you'll have the most efficient powder drop that the machine is capable of. Okay, so now it's finished. Let's go ahead and put in that same 20 grain charge, and let's see how much quicker it is now. So I put in 20. It's ramping up, and now it's going to trickle the rest. All right, so that is a lot faster, and that is one of the great features about this machine. Okay, so on some of the other dispensers, you'll see guys selling little 3D printed caps to put on the end of the powder tube, or you've seen guys doing the McDonald's straw trick. I have not found it necessary to buy the cap, or if anyone even makes a cap, or do the McDonald's straw trick on this one. I don't have any grains falling off or anything like that causing an overcharge. This tube design has been great. Okay guys, let's wrap this up. The Frankford Arsenal Intellidropper electronic powder dispenser. What do I think? Am I going to keep it, or am I going to trash it? Well, let's talk about the pros and cons of this piece of equipment. The pros are, and first and foremost, is the price. It is priced right there with the entry-level powder dispensers from other major companies, and what you get is a lot of features for the money. And probably my favorite feature is the powder calibration feature. It's on some of the other companies' powder dispensers, it's a little cumbersome. You have to manually adjust the ramp up and the ramp down. This unit, I don't know how they've got it figured out or how they've done it in the programming, but it just works, and it works very well. Through the life of this machine, for me, I've had maybe a handful of overcharges and maybe a handful of undercharges, and I couldn't even tell you how many rounds that I put through it, but it is very, very minimal. So that is a great feature. The other thing I really like about it is the backlit display. That blue light, it's just very easy to pick up with your eye. The numbers and the buttons are very clear and very easy to see. And the feedback on the touchscreen is great. I mean, it feels like it's working as it should. And some of the other units that I've used, I mean, you kind of have to push really hard on the buttons. This is very nice. The touchscreen is definitely a value in this particular price point. The other thing that I like about it is the accuracy of the scale. And we've seen with our testing here just a little bit today how accurate the scale is. And it's so accurate to a fault, which I'll get into here in a minute. But, you know, price and the features and things that you get at that value point is pretty impressive. Another cool feature, and to me it's like a pro and a con. I'll talk about the pro of it first. The app. It has a Bluetooth app that you can download on your Android or iPhone, and the app is really cool. You can store loads on the app and then shoot them right to the unit, and it picks it up and it goes. And it mimics the display that you see here on the touchscreen. The con of the app is when it works. I've had a lot of Bluetooth issues getting the app to be consistent. It seems like the range at your phone almost has to be right up on it, or your tablet. So to me, you know, I keep my load data in books, and the app to me is just something I don't use. So if you're a tech guy and that's one of the selling points to you, I would say just not yet. It's not quite there. At least it hasn't been for me. So the cons. The cons of the machine are, and this goes across, I think, all of the electronics that we see in the reloading community, is it's definitely made in China. The packaging is made in China. The plastic, the buttons, I mean, everything about it. And, you know, when I first unboxed it, I mean, it had that, you know, that chintzy cardboard, corrugated fiberboard or whatever, and I had one of the buttons missing. And inadvertently, there it was in the box, pushed it in. But those two buttons on the front is definitely a con, the start and the power button. They take some effort sometimes to get them to go, so keep that in mind. Another con of the machine is, you know, with it being plastic, you would think that, you know, internally the nooks and crannies wouldn't be there because you can injection mold this stuff, right? And it seems like there's a little bit of rushed engineering in that regard. Just again, my opinion, it's a little difficult to clean out. The spout to me is terrible. You know, I haven't used that many other electronic powder dispensers, but I think the design of it and the orientation, I think, is all wrong. But again, that's just me. Now, the other con of it is the fact that, again, that it's all plastic, and you inherently build a lot of static, and the powder sticks to the hopper, and the brush that they give you, the little paint brush from your daughter's paint by number art kit that comes with it. It could either be that much longer or don't even include it. But the only thing that it has going for it is you can take the hopper off and get in there. But there's so many nooks and crannies to work around. It's a little cumbersome. So with that all being said, there's the pros, there's the cons. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to keep it. And here's why. It works very good for what I need it for. I don't use it for bulk reloading. It's not my sole powder dispenser. You know, if this is what you were going to buy for a powder dispenser, I would say maybe do some more research and go another avenue. But for bulk reloading, this is not what you want. If you're getting into some precision rifle, it's going to get you there. I know there's a lot higher end products out there, but it's going to be able to get you going in that direction and see what you want. So it could be a good entry level precision rifle powder dispenser, because when you get into some of the high-end stuff. I mean, they're starting out $600-700 up to $1,800, and at 150 bucks, it's going to get you there. The scale's accurate, so it's not a bad deal there. For developing loads or moderate, like 50 hunting rounds, things like that, I think it's right there. And for how much you're going to use it, the money spent, I think you're farther ahead there. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. Would I recommend it? Yes, based off my experience with it, I think it provides a lot of value. Again, if you're one of those tech guys, I think it kind of falls into a very unique niche with the Bluetooth capability. I think the app or the connectivity, or maybe it's my Generation 8 iPhone, I don't know. I had some connectivity issues, but when it worked very well. And the app seems to be very thought out as far as load development and keeping different charge weights and different loads in there. Very easy to use, so I think that's a cool feature of it. So, with that all being said, that's where we're at on the Frankford Arsenal Intellidropper. And in fact, I had a couple guys asking me about it, so I thought I'd do this video here real quick. But if you guys would, please jump over to Facebook and Instagram and search me up under Squatch Reloading, or at Squatch Reloading, and follow me there. And if you like what you see, or if you got any suggestions, feel free to drop me an email at squatchreloading@gmail.com. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you on the next video. But until next time, guys, God bless.